So around this time last year, I remember I was walking through my house and I noticed in our bathroom that our tub is dripping. And it's dripping pretty bad. And I'm a little ashamed to admit that just a couple days ago, I noticed our tub is still dripping. It's because I have neglected to do anything about it. And obviously, it's not urgent, but I couldn't help but think about how many gallons of water I've let waste since this problem has occurred. And it made me think around how every week I talk to business owners around the systems and processes within their businesses, and there's things leaking. There's tasks that occur every single day, or every single week that don't get done well, and they're repetitive and can easily be automated to prevent those errors. And then there's actually tasks that end up taking maybe an hour or two at a time and could easily be automated to allow that person who was hired not to do that task, but to solve problems, and they could work on much higher leverage tasks. So in today's video, we're going to talk about what are those tasks or projects within your own business that if we were to take a look at and streamline and automate them, they could earn you back hours, if not weeks, every year. And what are some of the even larger tasks that are worth considering streamlining so that you can invest time into higher leverage tasks? And I'm going to be talking about the tool that I use that I think everyone should learn because it makes it really simple to automate these tasks and connect the tools that you use every single day to help those tools work together and work for you. So let's go ahead and jump into this video. All right, so I'm going to go over a few different scenarios where I have built some automations that improved some workflows and saved some of that redundant time for my own business. And then I'll share the tool that I use to actually perform some of these automations. So the first one is in my customer CRM. So this is the tool or the app that I've built to essentially maintain my pipeline of opportunities, right? And so I've created a test one right here for a company, have some info in here. And one of the things that I do that tends to just frankly take a lot of time is building and sending contracts. It's a necessary part of business. It's not the funnest part of business. But once I have a proposal built and we've reached an agreement, then I actually have to formalize that agreement and then send it to client. And I just realized I spent so much time and I don't love the legal side of this work. So I built an automation that took, took a lot of the time that I spent doing the activity and automated it. And so, for example, here, if we say that we're gonna, let's say we're in the negotiation stage with this client, and I go over here to contracts, I can select that client, and I can put some information here. So we could say, let's say the project title. I usually copy and paste some info from my proposal here. Determine a deposit, include the terms. I'll have an address here. I'll do an arbitrary start date, expiration date, the duration of the projects, revisions if that's necessary. And so now that all this information is here, typically I would have to go to some other tool and type all these things in and kind of start from scratch, or some people might use a Google Doc or Microsoft Word or something. I built an automation that allows me to draft this contract. Behind the scenes, there's some work happening in this tool that I'll talk about in the video. And within just a few seconds, you'll actually see that now I have this big button that says open contract. Right? If I go in here, this is a test version of my agreement. It takes a copy, some of the legal terms here, and I've templatize them so it's pretty straightforward for every contract. Here's all the information that I put into Airtable, and I can review it. And if everything looks good, I can go ahead and click send. It's going to send this contract to the recipient. This is something that would take me a lot of time, and this process alone, probably every single proposal probably saves me around 15 or 20 minutes just going into another tool, kind of the context switching, and then inputting all these details, having to bounce back and forth between multiple tools to get all the information right, and then ultimately send it to the client via email. This is something that just saves a significant amount of time, right? And this is an example of, an area of where my business could be leaking, right? And you can imagine that those drips, contract to contract, week to week, over the course of multiple years. I built this automation maybe 3 years ago. And so that time saving can add up and allow you to work on, like I said, higher leverage tasks. Let's go to another example. I've used this, I think I've talked a little bit about this in previous videos. But potentially you have a podcast, you might have a YouTube channel, you might have a newsletter for your business. And this is the workflow I've built to manage, for me, a podcast. It has a row for every episode. You can click in and see all the information about each guest. Quite honestly, I should do a whole video or video series probably just on creating workflows around managing a podcast or a YouTube channel. Because this literally has everything associated with it, from titles to guests to the actual episodes, show notes, summary. There's a lot of things that just by systematizing the process make something like this a lot more feasible. But one of the things related to podcasting was just distributing it. Once you've done all the work to record an episode, to edit the episode, to write all of the show notes and create these social media posts and cover artwork for your podcast. Now you actually have to just get it out there and publish it. And I realized every single episode I would need to probably mark it complete in here in Airtable. I would need to go and publish it to my podcast host. I would need to go send it to my website. I would need to write an email that would go to the guest of who I interviewed saying it was live and send them some of these things. Honestly, it would take over an hour every single episode just to get it out there. And so what I did for this process is I collected where this process was dripping and then helped automate the process. So for example, here I have a status field. We can actually go into the interface where I typically would manage this, right? So this is a little bit, looks less like a database, it looks more like an app. And this is the most recent episode. And every episode has status. So all the way from unassigned, assigned, interview scheduled, ready to edit, show notes and design assets are created, it's reviewed, might be returned to the editor for some updates. It has a little review process here. Ultimately would be published and then complete. And so I created so that when I click publish, it would kick off a series of things that would go publish the episode, post it to the website, email the contributor, bring those, like for example, the website link and the podcast link back into here, into my Airtable database so that I can then go ahead and use this. So for example, if we go to, Webflow URL, there's the URL right here, right? That was pulled in from my automation. If we go into Transistor, my podcast host, we can see everything from the analytics to the episode to the actual very, URL to go find it. And this, like I said, 30 episodes, 1 hour, at least saved me 30 hours easily, because I was collecting where the I was collecting where the process was dripping. And of course, those weren't urgent problems, but they were important problems that saving up front can save you a lot of time. And it's because of this that I built a way to track and measure the time saved here. Because once you see evidence of automation accumulating, and you're taking those drips and understanding, the gallons of water that could have been wasted, it really helps motivate you to continue finding those things that are dripping in your business and those processes, and then helping to collect the drips. So here, for example, is a simple tool that I built. I'll include the link to this in the description if you want to use this and actually input some of your own processes into here. But here is an example of a few tasks that could be automated. So number one, automate your YouTube publishing, right? Like for this channel, I'm going to post this, and just like my podcast, it's going to take time to go over to YouTube and upload and do the very necessary tasks of running a YouTube channel, right? And if we were to automate this, we could save some time. Second, transcription. So maybe you have a podcast channel, a YouTube channel yourself, you take audio voice notes or something, meeting, the recording of a meeting, and you could transcribe that, and then maybe that saves you some time in the workflow. Or here's another one that I did with a client, was a CRM or a business development workflow that saved them time on their, similar to like the first example here. And in this, we essentially calculate like how much time is saved over time. So we estimated that this first task takes about 30 minutes, but the automation is going to save us 30 minutes. How often do we do that task? We do it once a week. So it's 30 minutes every single week. The hypothetical start date for this automation was November 1st, 2023. This is back when I actually created this template. And through a series of math that is kind of hidden here, but we can see what is the difference of increments. It's 72 weeks between November 1st and today, March 25th. We can turn that into, I believe this is minutes, and I think this is minutes. But ultimately we're seeing that we're saving 36 hours, right? So over the course of not even 2 years, you're saving 36 hours by saving one 30-minute chunk of time every single week. So you think, what would you do with an extra 36 hours, right? That's a significant amount of working time. If we were to save 30 minutes a day, you can calculate, well, how many days occur between this time period? 510 days multiplied by our 30 minutes, turned into hours, saving 255 hours, right? What would you do with 255 hours extra in your life, right? You could reinvest that into your business, or you could go ahead and enjoy your life. And you get the what we're talking about here, right? 15 minutes saved only in your weekdays, right? You could save 91 hours here. And so this is an example of not only what are a few things that you can automate. Hopefully there's things that are coming to mind right now of, well, what do I do 30 minutes every single day or even every week? That once that starts turning, then you can identify, well, what are the things that are feasible to be automated? And in the age that we're living in with AI, you can also identify, well, things that you probably didn't think you could automate might be possible now with innovation in technology. All right, so let's find an example of something that you might do on a recurring basis that would save you time. And so for this, we're going to demonstrate Make.com. Make.com is the tool that I use for, 90% of the things that I automate. And it allows us to connect thousands of different tools together to do work for us. And so for this example, I'm thinking we should create a Google form, and when new submissions to the Google form are made, then we'll send an email. And potentially this could save you the time of constantly going and checking if form entries are made, and might just allow you to act on them quicker. So let's go ahead and we'll go, and I love doing form.new, right? That's just, I love it. You create a form, very simple. And so we're gonna say, this is our demo form, and we're just gonna do a simple question. Let's say, actually add the first one. We'll just say, what is your name? And we'll do short answer. And then here, what are you doing? Say, watching this video. All right, so simple form. We're gonna click publish. Publish. We'll go ahead and copy the responder link, and we'll simply just fill out, oh, didn't mean to do that. We'll simply copy this form and we'll fill it out. So what's your name? Test Pritzkow, and I'm recording the video. Video form. Okay. So now we can go in the make. We're gonna add the Google Forms, and we are going to, let's see, watch responses. So I'm gonna connect it. It's already connected to my Google account. You would click add, you'd log in with your credentials. So let's go ahead and we're going to search for the document, and this was demo, right? And this is gonna give us our form ID. Hopefully that's the right one. We only want one at a time, one response at a time. And this is gonna constantly, this isn't the best way to do this, so keep up with other videos on the channel. I'll show you how to improve this workflow, but very simple. At every 15 minutes, you could set this to every hour, every day. We're gonna check for new form responses. I don't think this is necessarily my form ID, so we're gonna look demo form, click OK. Watch for new form responses, nothing came through. Let's go ahead and do another response. We'll do test Pritzkow again, watching the video. Run this module again. So since we created this, here is our form, right? So next thing we want to do is we want to email it to us. We're going to go to Gmail. We're going to send an email. This is my development Gmail account. Very similarly, you can go ahead and add a new one. Looks like I need to go ahead and sign in with Google myself. A screen should pop up. There's a million email addresses I have access to. We'll click allow, and now this is allowing Make to use our Gmail. We're going to send an email to ourselves. The subject is going to be new form. The content, we're going to choose the answers here. So let's say we had, what is your name? So we're going to say name. We'll say text answers. We're going to dig into this. Here's the value. There's my name. And we'll say, what are they doing? It's a ridiculous example, right? But there's the answer, right? So we're going to go ahead and run this module. Nothing comes through. We're going to test it out. We could fill out, test Pritzkow, test answers, watching, say recording the video. So now this is going to send an email to me, and I'll check my email, and I should receive a email from our automation. There we go. There it is, right? So let's go ahead and save this. We'll turn it on. And what we can do is essentially run once to simulate this happening. So we're going to run once. Actually, let's go ahead and fill out the form. So there's our name, test Pritzkow, we're watching the video, click submit. This is happening in the background, and we grab the form response, we go to our email, right? So we can go ahead and take a peek at my inbox, and very, very simply, we have this email. We can customize this, we can make this pretty. we can make this workflow a bit more useful, right? But this is a very simple example of connecting two tools. We connect Google Forms, connect Gmail, and we're bridging the gap between the time that this would have been a manual process, right? And the nice thing about make.com is we can go ahead and edit this, right? So we could add a router, and then we could say, well, if the form response says yes, we're going to send this email. If the form says no, we're going to send a different email. So it's creating some more opportunities there. We could do something after we send this email. So maybe we could add something to a Google Sheet. We could upload files to a Google Drive. So my goal is just to get you into the tool so you can see what is possible and then yield those savings in time so that, like I said, you can reinvest that time into higher leverage activities, or you can take a break, right? All right, so I hope you found this video helpful and that you were able to identify some of these tasks that you could automate or systematize so that there's obviously time that you've saved that you can invest in higher leverage tasks, and even potentially costs that you're saving so you can reinvest that money into things in your business that matter. And I'm curious, what did you find? What kind of things are you looking to automate? If you're able to use this tool, make.com, to automate tasks, what are the first on your list? I would really be curious to know. You can leave those in the comments, and then potentially I could create some content on this channel that would be of value to you. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love if you would like or share this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and I'll look forward to talking to you in the next video. See you next week.